Mr. Bruce Grobbelaar. So just before we start, Bruce, I'm not sure if everybody's aware, but we've got some sad news, ladies and gents. We've just found out that Mr. Tommy Smith has passed away. So I'd just like to start with Bruce. You had a lot of experience with Tommy. If you just give us a few memories.
Well, I never had particularly, any interaction with Tommy. Only when I came to the club, he was just on his way out. But he's one of the family, and he's going to be very, very sorely missed. For what he did for the club, I think that a lot of people don't appreciate how hard he worked for the club, and we will miss him. And condolences to the family.
Round of applause, Tommy Smith, ladies and Right, Bruce, let's take you right back. Born in Durban, South Africa. Was it almost fate? You were born into a family who already had a goalkeeper in your dad, and I guess it was written in the stars, was it?
Well, my father was a goalkeeper in football, and my mother was a goalkeeper in field hockey, so...
Definitely fate, then.
Yeah, and I had an older sister who is 2 years older than me, and when my mother took her to the hockey, she could sit in the dugout with the reserves. Well, me as a youngster, 4 years old, he used to tie me to 2 stakes in the ground. And he used to tie my belt to that side and tie my belt to that side. I could only go 5 meters that way and 5 meters back, so I just sat down and watched him. That's how I did it.
About way of training then. Obviously, originally, I do believe you supported Derby because you had a lot of connections with baseball in your younger days. You could have been a professional baseball player, I believe, as well.
Yes, Derby County was my first professional team that I looked at because they played at the baseball ground. And I thought, yes, this is my team. I play baseball. I'm going to go maybe get over there and go to this place where they play baseball as well. Burst my bubble when it was just called the baseball ground. They never played baseball. So I said, no, I'll bin those blinking rams or sheep, whatever they got on there. And I looked at the bird. And in Africa, we got load of cormorants. And so I said, yeah, that looks a good, like a cormorant. I'm gonna support this team. And that was Liverpool. And it was quite funny. In the military, I went into the military for 2 years. And I've done 18 months, and we're in the middle of the bush in a tea estate, just cooking our food for lunch and just waiting for the sun to go down because we're going to move into a position. So I said to the 2 lads, or 3 lads with me, I said, listen, if I get out of this war alive, I'm going to go play for Liverpool. They looked at each other and they went, excuse my language, piss off. We're going for an ambush tonight, and there's a 1 in 3 chance one of us are going to get shot. Yeah, one of us did. It was the fella that said it. But it was only a flesh wound, so he
just a flesh wound, the bullet wound, yeah.
Just went straight through in and out, and we just plugged him up, and he was okay.
Obviously, you come out from the war, and you got to move to the Vancouver Whitecaps. Who then loaned you out to Crewe. And you, of course, caught the eyes of Mr. Tom Saunders.
Yes, Mr. Tom Saunders came down to Portsmouth to watch our second last game. And Portsmouth needed 2 points to be promoted. Crewe Alexander, well, we were doing well. We were going well, and at that time we only lost two games in the latter half of the season. And we played the game, and one player scored both goals. We drew 1-1. He chipped me from about 30 yards. I was standing on the edge of my area, passed back in half, straight back into the goal, and then he scored the equalizer. And I believe that it was Tom Saunders who went to Bob Paisley and said, never mind about the midfielder that you're looking at. They've got a goalkeeper at Crewe that can do both positions.
He wasn't wrong, was he? So he advised Bob, and Bob came down to scout you, which didn't last long, did it?
No, he came to the very last game of the season, and I remember Tony Waddington coming to me in the beginning of right when I came in the dressing room, and he said, listen, son, you've done our business. You've done very well. We're not 92nd in the Football League, last place. We're 86th. So for the first time in 3 years, we don't have to write to the league to ask to come back into the league. And for that, you're going to be captain. I said, yes. He said, but there's 2 very important people coming to watch you today. Please don't do something stupid. So I said, me? Nah, it's okay. Well, as we were going out for our warm-up, it started raining. So I asked Mavis, the tea lady, may I borrow your umbrella? And I went out and did my warm-up with an umbrella. When we finished the warm-up, I came in, and there's the manager going like this. I said, what's the matter, boss? He said, you know those very important people that came to watch you play? I said, what do you mean came? He says, yeah, they buggered off to go and watch Stoke City play Port Vale now. So he only watched 20 minutes.
Must have been impressed then. Eventually he did buy a course for £250,000, £250,000 in 81. I believe he gave you a test the minute he signed you by asking you to find your way to Anfield.
Yes, when you get to Heathrow Airport and you've got a record, amount on your, that on your shoulders. So I rang the club from Heathrow Airport, got Bob Paisley, and I said, Bruce Grobbelaar, I've just landed at Heathrow. He said, do you know where Manchester is? And he puts the phone down. So when I got to Manchester, I rang up the club because nobody came to pick us up. And it's only 36 miles down the road. Get the secretary. She says, do you know where Liverpool is? So I drove into Liverpool. Don't know where I'm going. Never been to Anfield. But my mother told me a little story. Anywhere in Britain, the people that know where their places are the black cab drivers. So I go into Liverpool, there's a line of black cabs. I think it was down Lime Street. So I went to the front one, and he wound down the window. And he said, all right there, lad, what you want? And I said these immortal words you should never say to a Liverpool cabbie, black cab driver. I said, excuse me, do you know where Anfield is? Do I freaking know where Anfield is? Of course I do, dickhead. He said, hop in. I said, no, I've got a vehicle. He said, well, then you better follow me, knobhead. So I followed him all the way to Anfield. And I get there, and it's 4:30 in the afternoon. The gates are shut. Can't get in there. So I went up to him. Thank you very much. He said, that'll be £5. And I know he's going back into town. I don't know where to go. So I've got to go follow him. But if I follow him too close, halfway to town, he's going to stop and ask for another £5. So I let him go on a bit. And I got into town, and I went to all the hotels. I went to St. George's, the Moat House. I went to the Holiday Inn. I ended up going past this little pub, and I saw a sign, vacancies. So I stopped, walked in, went to the barman of the Beehive, and I said, excuse me, have you got any rooms? He says, rooms? I said, yes, you got a sign saying vacancies. He says, that's for a barman. He said, try Alcatraz across the road. I mean, the Adelphi Hotel. And I remember going through the big doors at the Adelphi Hotel, and I pushed him past. There's nice sofas here. I never took any notice of them. Went round to the reception on the side. Said, excuse me, love, have you got any rooms? She said, no, sorry, we full. And as I turned around, I saw Bob Paisley receiving a £1 note in those days from Tom Saunders, and Tom saying, I never thought he would get here.
Not a bad first test.
Bob Paisley said, yeah, here's your keys, see you tomorrow.
Welcome to Liverpool. Now, obviously, when you first joined, you went first choice. Obviously, Ray Clements was the number one at the time, and it wasn't the best first 6 months for yourself at Liverpool.
No, I came in the season before, signed in March, had 3 games in the reserves, and then pre-season, Ray Clements had gone, and I'd started playing every single game. And the first 6 months was, it wasn't good. Boxing Day, 1981, we played against Manchester City. Got beat 3-1, sorry. I remember coming out for a ball and tried to punch the ball, but I punched Phil Thompson's nose because it was bigger than the ball. Then there's a shot, soft parried onto the bar. The ball cannoned off the bar, hit my head went in the back of the net, and the other one was a very good goal. So come in there racing into the dressing room, and there's Bob. And he gets in there quick and he shuts it down. Yeah, we're going to make bloody change. He said, you. And he points to me, come here, and go right down the corridor into his office. Now that's the worst thing you could do. Because as soon as you close the door there, there's 16 pairs of feet running down the corridor to listen at the door. He says, how do you think you bloody well played this first 6 months? I said, well, I could have played better. And maybe I should stop walking on my hands or swinging on the crossbar. He says, yeah, you better, otherwise you'll find yourself back at crew. So he left. Well, the next game, he said to Phil Thompson, Tomo, is the captaincy too much for you? And Phil Thompson said, nah, bugger off. He said, bugger off. Well, your captaincy is going to Souness. And that was it. That was the change he made. We went through the back half of the season. I think we lost 2, drew 4, and then won the rest. And we won the league with 2 games to spare, at the last game with 1 game to spare by 3 points. So.
Not a bad team. The titles kept coming, of course, Bruce. And then we move, of course, to 84. The year that you did the treble with the League Cup, and, of course, that final against Roma, 1-1. It was mind games before you got even on the field, wasn't it?
Well, you can imagine, you've got Uncle Joe, Smoking Joe. He must have been on his 13th cigarette during the game. And he's going, right, let's start. Phil Neal first, Stevie Nichols second, Souness third, Rashi fourth, Dalglish fifth. To which Kenny replied, excuse me, Gaffer, you substituted me in the 86th minute. And he's going, oh, Jesus. Well, who came on for you? He looks down on the ground. There's a fellow lying on his back, his legs up. Michael Robinson, you've been on the field 8 minutes, you got cramp? Looks around and he goes, where's Lawrenson and Hansen? He turns around there, they were on the halfway line waving at our fans. He's looking around for Sammy Lee. Sammy? Sammy. You know, when you play a game in 120 minutes, you know, the grass grows a little higher. Sammy's trying to get underneath. In the end, there were 2 people standing like this. He looks at Alan Kennedy, looks at me, and he says, Bruce, you take the 5th penalty. Well, it didn't happen like that.
You're actually down to take the 5th penalty?
Well, don't worry. Phil Neal now is tying his bootlaces. So Stevie Nichols just grabs this ball and he starts walking into the box. And I think Phil Neal says, excuse me, Gaff, it should be me. Let's run with it.
Did you do?
Stevie Nichols, not the sharpest tool in the box. Tries to squeeze size 13 feet into size 11s. So, of course, the toe is like this. We used to call him shovel foot. What does he do? Boom. Shovel foots the ball straight over the bar. I didn't have to get up. I didn't have to look up. I got this arm around me. Didn't have to look up to see where it was. I could smell the cigarette. And he says, listen, son, myself and the coaches, the captain and the team, chairman and the directors, the wives and the girlfriends, and I'm thinking, where's he going with this? And the 20,000 fans that have come here to watch us, I'm not going to blame you. Oh, if you can't stop a ball from 12 yards. So I'm thinking, I heard the blame word, but oh no, he said, okay. So as I said, thank you very much. He said, but try and put them off. I walked past Stevie Nichols. I said, thank you very much. He said, piss off and do your own job. And I got into the goal. And if you get into a shootout, in any shootout, the goalkeeper, first penalty that he faces should just stand where he is. Just stay there. It's just going to come around here. Because that guy there taking the penalty is just as nervous. I remember going right. The ball comes straight down the middle, clips my fingers and goes in. So I thought to myself, you stupid idiot. Well, Phil Neal gets up there, smacks it in. Then comes Bruno Conti. He picked the ball here. And he's like this. And you can almost hear him singing to himself, Bruno Conti. I crossed the ball for Pruto to scoring. Now I'm going to score penalty. Eh? So I ran onto the line and I went like this. So he puts the ball down, takes 2 steps back. I got onto the line just before he... And he took 2 steps and blasted the ball over the bar. So I thought, it might work. Soon as gets the ball, smacks it in the top corner. I couldn't get in the goal quick enough the next penalty. I'm going, hooey, I've been watching you a couple of days ago. We're taking penalty after penalty. Come on. I know which corner. Came and kicked it. I went, poop, top right. I looked over, it went top left. And then when I came off the ground and I looked at the stadium, I realized that I was watching him from the other side of the stadium. Rushy comes up there next, immaculate as ever, shirt out, socks down by his ankles. He must have hit the worst penalty. It bounced twice going into the net, and he goes on his knees and he goes, whew, yes. And then comes Graziani. Graziani, he picked the ball here, and then he puts his arm around the referee. So I didn't like that. I went into the net, I bit the net. Can't touch the referee, can't do this, da-da-da. But now he's walking like this, with his arm around the referee. He's like this, as if he was marching. But you know Italians, they don't march that way, they march this way. Second World War joke.
Show your age, please.
So I bit the net this side. He eventually goes and puts the ball down, crosses himself. And I came in like this. You know when you put hard spaghetti in water, you get a collapse of the knees. Like this. He crosses himself again. I went like this. And then remembering to turn the stadium around, because he's the second penalty taker I was facing, I know it's coming here. I went early. He's now changed his mind. He's gone poof, and it's hit the bar and gone over. And I've gone around the field, jumping up and down. Yeah, you beauty. Forgetting I had to take the 5th penalty. But Alan Kennedy tells a story. The boss says, Alan, get that ball. Look at that duck bugger there. And that's why Alan Kennedy. So Alan Kennedy, he told us where he's going to put the ball. Alan, where are you going to put it? Bottom right, bottom right, bottom right. And he went and hit it so sweetly, top left. He is the only man, you know, it's like a shank in golf. He's the only man that has had 2 shanks, but he's won us 2 European Cups.
Not a bad record. Is it true that Graziani went the loony bin after that because of you?
Yeah, for 3 months. 3 months in an asylum, which I regret. And then last year when they played us, he sent a message over from one of the reporters that he'd like to reenact that same penalty in Roma. And we had played here before, and I said, excuse me, I travelled to you last time. You got to travel over here, and you can come over any time because we'll do it at half-time. I'm sure that everybody would like to see it at half-time. So I'm waiting for him to answer that one. So if he does, we'll see him at Anfield, because he will miss a game.
The next year, obviously, we had the disaster of Heysel, and unfortunately, Joe Fagan quit because of that. Then Kenny stepped into the managerial shoes. How was it to adjust for Kenny being your boss?
Well, I think he took to it like a duck to water. The backroom staff actually helped him out 100%. There's one of the backroom staff over there, Mr. Roy Evans and the others. And yeah, he just took over, and you know, we just had to understand his mythology. If you could understand him.
And not the only other player to be a player boss of course, Mr. Graham Souness took over again. Another strange situation for yourself.
Yes, best player I've ever played with in my life by far in the world, and he had everything. That's all right, don't worry.
Night, Phil.
I knew I'd get him out there. And yeah, I think that he had everything in his locker room. Thankfully, he couldn't play in goal because have you ever seen a good Scottish goalkeeper? No. But that's where I'm going to leave him.
Yeah. Okay.
On the football field. 'Cause as a manager, I thought he might have had a change of heart. He didn't. He had a triple bypass instead. It's true.
It's fact, yeah. It's fact.
I'm not saying anything different.
So you mentioned, sorry Phil again, so who was the best player you played with? Who was the best player you played against?
I played against Phil Neal.
Ah, well done.
No, I'd say foreigner, I would say Hugo Sanchez. When we played against Real Madrid, he happened to score a couple of goals against me, and I thought he was fantastic in the Bernabeu. And then at home, I've always had battles with Graham Sharp. You know, he scored some spectacular goals, and I've saved some spectacular ones. And then there's that crowd 36 miles down the road, you know, McClare's and the Hugheses of the world. And I've had some battles with them.
Put you on the spot, Bruce. Worst player you played with? I know there's probably a few, but Phil, do you want to go?
No. Frank McGarvey.
Random.
Nicky Tanner. Yeah. And I've played from the highest right down to Chesham and then Northwich, Victoria. And those two couldn't get in those two sides.
Here's our next guest, Nicky Tanner.
No problem at all.
Obviously, you had such a fantastic career. Let's just move it on now to the modern day era. What's your thoughts of Klopp and obviously Alisson?
I think we've got a great manager. He's got the charisma that of the Shankly days, and I think it's infectious. And everybody gets the fans. He gets the fans, how passionate they are, and he's a passionate guy as well. And then you've got the goalkeeper in Alisson. Alisson is one probably top 4 in the world, in amongst the top 4 goalkeepers in the world. And I just hope that he doesn't go like the rest of the goalkeepers that have come to Liverpool.
No comment on that. As well, Bruce, I'll end it with this. What are we going to end with this year, title-wise?
Win it. It's not in our hands. It's in Manchester City's hands. That's the Premiership. Because if they win all their games, they win the league. And it's going to come down to it when we've both got the same amount of games played and then the point situation. Whoever's on top, it's in their hands. But now they've got another game in hand, so it's going to be swinging back and forth. At the moment, it's in our hands. But if they've got a game on Wednesday, it could end up in their hands. So that's going to be swinging back and forth until the end of the season. I believe that we can win, and I believe we can do a double.
Well, hopefully that's a perfect thing, and what a perfect way to end. Ladies and gents, please be able to so appreciate for the legend, Mr. Bruce Grobbelaar. Cheers, Bruce.